What did Krystal call Arie and The Bachelor women? Unaired footage caught her saying some seriously rude things. Fans were looking forward to seeing eliminated contestants on Sunday night's edition of The Bachelor, Women Tell All. But nothing could have prepared anyone for what went down with the season's villain. But what did Krystal say in her unaired Bachelor footage? It was a rude comment about Arie. Because this lady apparently doesn't take rejection very well. Oh, and then she called all the women a derogatory name too, because why not add insult to injury? The drama with Krystal began before she even had the chance to take the stage with Chris Harrison. And once she came on stage, it got worse. Chris introduced her as one of the most polarizing contestants that The Bachelor has ever seen. And that pretty much described everything that followed, especially when footage of her having what she thought was a private conversation after the bowling date earlier this season. In the clip, Krystal's talking to some of the other women, venting about being on the show. But while talking to Ashley during an interview with Access Hollywood, she admitted that the bleeped-out name she called Arie was, in fact, Needle DCK. Krystal said this in the footage with Needle DCK being confirmed by her, and CTS being confirmed by Reality Steve and context clues. There's hardly an excuse for using that kind of language toward anyone, but in her interview with Ashley, Krystal seemed pretty unapologetic about it. All she really did was laugh when Ashley asked her about it, which isn't the behavior of someone who feels bad about calling other people rude names. It doesn't sound like she has many regrets from her time on The Bachelor. And she should have some. Calling the women that word is never okay. When it comes to the other women, there's still a lot of bad blood there. Caroline was furious that Krystal called them that word. And that's totally understandable. It's not cool. There also was non-stop fighting between Krystal and everyone else, especially when it came to Viviana and Becca, who tried and failed to convince her that it's way easier to just be nice to people. Despite the fact that, in various interviews over the last couple of weeks since her elimination, Krystal has been insisting that becoming this season's villain was unintentional. It's hard to believe her when clips like this surface from times on the show, when she thought no one was watching or listening. Of course, if you watch this season, you already know that it's not like she got away with anything she said. Everyone was all too eager to let Arie know that Krystal wasn't who he thought she was. And after that, it didn't take long before he decided to send her home during a 2-on-1 date in Paris. Bachelor villains aren't always what they're cracked up to be on the show. But this time, it seems like Krystal is reveling in all the extra attention she's been given thanks to her behavior on the show, and that she's not sorry for what she said and did. If nothing else, maybe the footage getting released will teach her the very important lesson that just because she's not making it up doesn't mean the cameras aren't watching. You know, just in case she makes it to Bachelor in Paradise this summer. Would anyone be surprised? Almost 2 years ago, I woke up in a hotel room, groggy and dehydrated, with my clothes all over the room, and my nightstand filled with mini bottles of liquor. I had spent the previous 2 days drinking all the alcohol in my mini bar. I'm not sure why I didn't call the hotel and ask them to remove that mini fridge. When I got to my room, I had entered rehab just 9 months earlier and was still figuring out my sobriety. But I didn't. And the predictable happened, I had a relapse. Waking up hungover was embarrassing. Even worse, I was there to attend a conference for a new job, a job that I promptly lost as soon as my addiction reared its ugly head. Though, to be honest, I was secretly relieved I still had to learn how to stay sober while dealing with my anxiety and work-related stress. And if it wasn't for my relapse, I wouldn't have learned that I needed a better work-life balance in order to successfully manage sobriety. My journey to recovery was pretty simple. After years of ignoring the fact that I had a problem with alcohol, managed my stress with liquor, and ultimately depended on booze to get me through the weekend, I entered a 30-day rehab program with the help of my parents. I spent the entire time absorbing what my rehab program taught, seeing my therapist as much as possible, often 5 days a week, and making friends with others in my situation. Learning just how deep my issues with anxiety went, in particular, my internalized push towards perfectionism and overachievement, helped me to understand the alcohol dependency in my life. Before rehab, I only knew that I had an anxiety